Today on the Coaching Life Podcast.
If every kid in the school decided, you know what, I'm not going to go to the voluntary but passive-aggressive mandatory stuff this summer. I'm going to take some time this summer to increase the relationship with my family that I lose out on from playing all three of these sports during the school year. I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to do some fishing with my dad and my cousins, maybe even get a little side job, mowing some grass, make a few bucks, and I'm just going to stay in shape, work out, and I'll be out there and I'll give you everything I got. I told him, I said, you know what? The kids that can ball will play. And the kids that can't will sit.
One day, a couple of guys sat down for lunch and a conversation began. They talked about youth sports, how to be better coaches, how to be better parents, how to be better at developing young people. Not only for the games they play, but for life. That's what the coaching life is, a conversation. And we welcome you. Now, here are the hosts, Chris Stewart and Pat Martin.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the Coaching Life Podcast. I'm Pat Martin. I'm here in the Scripps Podcast Studio, Scripps College Podcast.
The blazing hot podcast studio. It's
How
hot.
are long sleeves, Coach?
I don't know how.
It's a dry fit. So I tell everyone. Keeps the sun off of you. It's a cold day. It's a nice fall-looking day out here.
Rainy day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the regulating of the temperatures in this building hasn't been good the last couple of weeks.
Isn't that's what we always go through on campus, though, because of the it's a really good cooling system.
Heating and
it's
cooling
a really
system.
good heating system.
It
but
is.
The problem with it is it takes a while to get started or to get.
Yeah, I can go into it here. We can really bore some people, because I've dealt with it. I deal with our facility. I'm sort of the liaison from all of our facilities to the campus, university facilities management.
Right.
And our building in particular, the Schoonover Center here, is heated and cooled with the steam and the chilled water. Right. So we got pipes running all through the building, and it's pushing steam and chilled air at the same time. And then there are these valves in all these. So we have faculty offices, staff offices all over the building, and every 2 offices is controlled by a valve. All right. So what happens when there's a storm like today and the power goes down, or something happens? I mean, there's a power surge, or they shut the power off for any number of reasons and then back on. When the power goes down or something happens and the system comes back up, not all of those valves open up again. Like they get stuck. Something, and sometimes they'll get stuck just from just the movement, the constant movement of them and the regulating of the temperature. And so let's say you're in an office where, and this usually happens in the summertime, you're in an office where the steam valve gets stuck. All that you're getting is chilled air. You'll be sitting in your office in the middle of the summer, and your office is 54 degrees. No exaggeration. It's been like that in some of our offices in here. And then in the wintertime, it's the opposite. Usually in the wintertime, what gets stuck is the chilled air valves. And so what happens in the wintertime is we'll be sitting in our offices while it's 3 degrees outside and it's 87 in our office. So
when you want to be warm, you're too hot. When you want to be cold, you're too cold.
Yeah, you got to bring a winter coat in the summer to work, and you got to bring shorts in the winter to work if you're working indoors in your office.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. There's a little lesson in how
Welcome to Ohio University, everyone.
But for the most part, I'll say this, for the most part, it's very comfortable.
Yeah.
And our HVAC manager, I have a really good relationship with him, and he does a great job. He's handling the entire campus with about a crew of about 6 people total.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. My team actually administrates a few of the applications that they use to control.
Because it's all on the computer. Yeah. He'll sit over in his office and look at. I actually had to call him yesterday, and he said, "Ooh, we got some wonky things going on in Schoonover here. Let me do some digging," and he fixed us up.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I got to watch the way I laugh from here on out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. People's been making
on the podcast.
Yeah.
You got made fun of?
Yeah. People making fun of the way I laugh. I don't know. They don't seem to like it. So I gotta be.
Maybe I need to stop saying so many funny things so that you don't laugh as much.
Right. Exactly. What are we going to talk about today? We set people up. We told them there's going to be a big.
That's right. Well, we're just fresh off the summertime.
Yes.
Right? And we talk about sports, youth sports here, and that covers, everything from the moment your child begins playing sports all the way through college, amateur sports, I would say, okay, all the way through high school for sure. And so I think today we'll spend a lot of time today, mostly the context of our conversation will probably be around the high school athlete.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So I have some colleagues here that I work with who are of the age where they have high school athletes, and several in my office suite. And last week, when we were all in there together and sort of catching up on each other's lives after summer and summertime vacations and things like that, and summer schedules, I had at least two, I want to say there were three, and then a fourth whose children are like mine. They've already graduated from high school, but remember those times. And they were all talking about the summer schedule. Mm-hmm. Okay? And what they were saying is, and this broke my heart to hear one of them say this. They said that in the middle of the summer, and I'm not going to give any names, so I don't want anybody, so just keep it very general. In the middle of the summer, this person's daughter almost decided to quit playing sports altogether.
Yep.
And I know how much this person loves sports. And the whole purpose behind that, and the reason for that, was because she was burned out by the schedule and she wanted to go on family vacation. And she felt like if she chose to go on family vacation during a time when she was going to miss some voluntary, and you guys don't see me making my quotation marks on the other two sides of the microphone when I say voluntary.
Because that's the core of this conversation, really.
Yeah.
Those quotes.
Well, because the reality is in our state, there are 10 days of instruction that you can make mandatory as a coach, right? And every coach has, June and July to basically say, we're going to do basketball in these days. We're going to do baseball in these days. And then, but here's the problem. Okay, that's fine. 10 days. And that's what we did. We had 10 days. And we didn't actually get 10 in because of rain. We ended up getting 8 in. But in addition, you also have strength and conditioning, strength training. You've got open gym or open field.
Yep.
And those are to be voluntary. Mm-hmm. But the problem is they don't feel like they are to the kids. And so in essence, what was happening was we found ourselves in a conversation where these colleagues have children who play multiple sports, and they're basically saying what I've heard from them is sports are not as fun because of the scheduling, because of what's happening. And I told them what I think a solution is, but I'll save it. I'll give you some time.
Well, I think, when we talked about discussing this today, I, did a little bit of research and just thought about our experiences as a family and, my experience as a player and things like that. One thing that...
You're in it now.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I have a high school student. I have
you're going to be in it for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going into it and definitely experiencing it. But you know what? I experienced it a little bit prior to this because we played a lot of baseball. My kids played a lot of baseball, and we played so much baseball certain years to a point where I could see, and we even had discussions about the fact that I don't really feel like playing baseball today, Dad.
Yeah,
and that's the
it hits you right in the heart, doesn't it?
That's the unforgivable sin, I think. But it's just for coaches, for trainers, for people that really love the game of baseball, that's hard to swallow. It doesn't really register with them. But we're talking about kids that are playing a game. And one thing that came to my mind was my kids. Both of my kids. I'm not throwing our education system under the bus here. It's just it's reality. My kids loved to read when they were younger. Both of them, they like to read, but they don't like to read anymore.
It's probably pretty common.
It is, but why? Because they're tasked with reading so much. You know what I mean? They're told, okay, you have to read this much. You have to read this book. You have to do this. You have to do that. And when it's something you enjoy becomes a chore, you begin to enjoy it less.
Yeah,
I think it's a very natural.
That's a really
thing.
good point.
Yeah, and we're not doing a good enough job of counteracting that. You know,
when something you love becomes a duty, then you may love it less.
Yeah, and
someone you love. If you're in a relationship and you feel like it's a duty, to do things that are kind and generous and and compassionate and to serve one another, you're in trouble if it becomes a duty, right?
Yeah, you're right. And it goes back to video games. Why are video games so popular?
Because they're fun
for kids. They're fun. Guess what?
Some people think they're fun. I don't get the allure, but to be honest,
you just haven't played them enough. We're gonna get you an Xbox, and
we had an Xbox. It collected dust.
Yeah, but you and
we bought an Xbox. What do you call them? 64? How long ago was that? The Xbox 6.
That's a Nintendo 64.
Oh my! See,
me and you's gonna play some Fortnite.
Maybe that's what we had. I don't know. Is that the one with the little fat kids running around? Little icon. They look like
that's
they don't even look like real people.
That's Minecraft.
I'm not being insensitive here. I'm talking about cartoons, folks. All right, like South Park. All the kids on South Park.
Everybody knows,
fat,
Coach,
right?
except you. They know what game you're talking about. It's Minecraft, I think, is what you're talking about, or Roblox.
So I don't even see. I have no idea. Oh well.
Yeah. Well, we'll start.
I played a little Madden in my day.
I haven't played much. There about 10 years ago, before my Xbox was taken away from me by my son, I played a little bit of games, online with some friends and stuff like that. But no, we've talked about this before. Parents aren't sitting there on the bed, telling the kid, they don't wake up and
coaching
say, okay, hey, guess what? You could try this. If your kids are playing too many video games, you're spending too much time on video games, you want an easy way to get them off of it? Go coach them up a little bit. When they wake up in the morning, when they wake up on Saturday morning, have a schedule.
Tell them they have. Yeah, this is when you have to play.
Yeah,
this is when you got to practice playing it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Do that and see if they enjoy it less as the summer goes on. I bet they will.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So really, today, not practice.
So really today, we're probably, this conversation is going to be. We often have an audience for our conversations, right? That's why we put them out on the podcast. And so if we're being honest, most of the time our audience is parents. Most of the time, a lot of times our audience is the athlete. Today, our audience is probably coaches.
Yeah,
coaches of these sports. Yeah. You and I we're speaking to ourselves as well.
Yep.
So we're preaching to the proverbial choir here, with you and me. But it's a serious thing to consider, though.
Especially if you're in a school district with not a lot of participation. Your numbers are low because you're, as coaches, football, basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, basketball.
Yeah,
you're protecting each other.
You're reliant upon those same athletes to produce in your sport. And
one coach can hurt another program by the way that they approach those athletes. Yeah. And things like that. Track, I left out track. It's both ways. So we're going to talk about that today a little bit and see if there's something we could do. I've kind of fallen into this. Me being a rookie coach, I'm still in my rookie season, I would say. We haven't gotten back around to when I was hired, but talking about those 10 instructional days, I didn't get mine scheduled in June and July, and I regret that now because now I'm thinking about trying to fit it in, in September.
Well, now it's over. Like the 10 days is just June and July.
Well, right. But
you're trying to fill it. I see what you're saying. You're trying to fit in what you may have missed.
Yeah.
By doing some fall ball activities or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Basically the same thing, but obviously it won't be.
Because voluntary. Now all you're limited now to just basically open gym, open field right now.
Right.
Or instructing 6 kids at a time.
Yes.
You can't have them all. You don't have a single day where you can get your entire team together and coach them up or play a game.
True.
Like you have 10 of those in the summer.
I wouldn't have that anyway because of so many kids. You know what I mean? So yeah, I can't expect those kids to come from football to be,
and we shouldn't. I'll just tell you right now, I don't expect them. You saw my ad. I sent out an ad yesterday about our strength training, and
it says non-winter sport athletes.
The baseball coaching staff is going to be hosting it. And I talked with our AD about this and basically said what I'd like, because he asked me how he'd like to advertise it. And then he asked me, he said, can anyone come, that even people that may not want to play baseball? I said, absolutely. I said, in fact, what I was going to tell you is to please put that in there, that if we have athletes that are in the off season right now, because a lot of our baseball players who are in the off season who may not be playing football, which there aren't a ton of them, but there's a handful, they're preparing to play basketball.
Yeah.
And that sport's coming up before baseball.
Well, and here's the thing: some of those kids are playing fall ball,
and they're playing fall baseball right now too. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So even as a high school coach, you want them in there, doing your program stuff. But at the same time, you need to weigh that load on their schedule of they're still playing fall ball. Yeah. I give my guys a hard time all the time about not being in strength training, and they're like, I have a fall ball game. I'm like, well,
I told a kid a few years ago to stop playing fall ball. You need to get stronger.
You Mark Riptoed him, didn't you?
And I did. Well, actually, yeah. And here's the funny thing. When you say Mark Riptoed, and Mark Riptoed says take an entire year off from your sport and just get stronger. Well, Matthew Blanchard, who's who I'm talking about, he had that happen. For him, it happened involuntarily because and I'm pretty sure the timing that the time that I told him that he needed to do this was the fall going into the 2019 season, which would have been between his sophomore and junior year, because he lost his junior year essentially that junior spring.
Yeah, I coached that fall ball team that you told him not to play for.
That I told him to stop playing. Yeah. I think you even said something you're upset about that. So anyway, he did. So he did. He basically committed to getting stronger, and then that's pretty much all he did that year was that, and it kind of worked out for him.
Yeah, he's playing college ball, right?
He was one of the best high school players I've ever coached.
One of the
1 year that I got to coach him.
Yeah. Really loved the game.
Oh yeah.
I think that sets guys aside.
He loved the game even though he didn't play it in the fall.
Exactly. I just looking around and just looking at conversations on Twitter and on the internet. There's this post. A guy made a post that said youth sports will continue to go in the wrong direction for a few different reasons. One of the reasons that he said youth sports is going in the wrong direction is because parents always feel like their kid is being left out. They're missing something if they're not playing 150 games a year.
Yeah.
They're falling behind.
Man, I had a kid that I kind of had to talk him into going ahead and coming out for baseball one year. And I'll never forget what he told me. He said, and I'll kind of be throwing the previous football program under the bus that I was at, not the one that I'm coaching at now. But he said, they're having open field every day. And the other quarterback, who was my backup last year, doesn't play a spring sport. Yeah. He runs track, but he's got time. But they're using the football field. So they're doing this open field during times when there's no track practice. And so he's going to be throwing passes, to some of the receivers that are also running track from the team, and I'm going to fall behind.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an unfortunate part of athletics in that case.
Yeah.
Because that's just, that individual that's there throwing is making that sacrifice to say, okay, I'm not going to do anything else but play football.
And that particular person never did play baseball anyway.
Exactly.
And so it's not really a sacrifice.
True.
I guess he is sacrificing.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't hurt, right? Because the sacrifice is something that you're giving up.
Yeah.
And it hurts.
So you have there's two things to talk about there. One, when the coaches look around, they see this kid at their off-season workouts. They see him motivated. They see him involved. They see him bought in, committed to their program. That's one thing. So if everything's the same, between two athletes, and you have to make a decision. Which one are you going to decide?
Well, here's what I told that kid. I said, I'm going to be really I'm going to be really honest with you. And this is when I started speaking like this. And I've continued to speak like this. I said, listen, as a coach, I'll tell you this. One, the reason why that guy feels the need to go and be there every day, and the reason why they're working with him, is because he needs the improvement. You're a really good athlete. There's a reason you were starting over him last year. You can not go to a single one of those and play baseball, and you're gonna increase your athleticism just from playing another sport, your mentality of the game, things like that.
Mentality's so huge. That's what gets forgotten.
You're going to be competing. And I said, there's a long time between now and August 28th, or whenever your first game is next year. You've got all summer. I said, come summertime, when you're doing the workouts and you're preparing for football workouts and you're out there doing them, and they see your skill matched up with this person that went every day in the spring, you're still going to play.
Yeah.
You're still going to play. Why? Because coaches want to win.
Absolutely.
In high school. And this is what and I'll tell you what I told my colleagues here in the office last week. I said, listen, you know what, just one time. And I told them, I think here's the solution for you feeling like you're being pulled in every direction. And one of the ladies was like, we didn't have a vacation this year. I had no time to schedule a vacation because I have 3 kids. They all play sports. They play different sports. 2 of them are boys, one of them's a girl. And we just can't do it.
Yep,
we don't do vacations anymore, right? Yep. and I said, you know what? I said, here's the thing. Coaches in high school want to win. Some of them need to win, right? Or you're not gonna be coaching very long.
Oh, you need to win.
Yeah.
You may be winning, but you still need to win.
Yeah. When you need to win. Yeah. Yeah.
When you stop that, then things change.
Right. Right. And I said, you know what? If every kid in the school decided, you know what? I'm not going to go to the voluntary but passive-aggressive mandatory stuff this summer. I'm going to take some time this summer to increase the relationship with my family that I lose out on from playing all 3 of these sports during the school year. I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to do some fishing with my dad and my cousins and whatever. I may even get a little side job, mowing some grass, whatever, make a few bucks, and I'm just going to stay in shape, work out, and I'll be out there and I'll give you everything I got in the fall. Mm-hmm. I told him, I said, you know what? I promise you, the kids that can ball will play.
Oh, yeah.
And the
absolutely.
kids that can't will sit.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how. I mean, if you can ball, you'll play, whether you go to those workouts or not. This is the harsh reality, and I think the harsh truth. And if you can't compete, if you don't give our team the best chance to win come the season, it's not going to matter how many times you went to that off-season workout.
And I guess the exception to that is if you do have, if it does come down to you and another player and the skill level is close.
Everything's even?
Everything's even.
Yeah.
You may not start right away where you want to be, but every day in practice you have that opportunity to gain that back too. And it's not the end of the world that you don't trot out there as the first outside linebacker or whatever it is, first hitter in volleyball or whatnot.
And I know that's a bit extreme. Like, I would never tell a kid, don't go to anything this summer, right? Don't go to any summer things. I host summer stuff, and I want kids there.
Yeah, exactly.
But I told our coaches this summer, I said, guys, we may have 15 kids. We may have 4. However many kids show up, we're going to give them the same energy. We have to adjust our plan, of course, but we're going to give the same energy. We're going to work those kids out because they're here and they want to get better. Yeah. But I'm not going to go guilt kids for not coming.
Right.
I mean, I'll put out the word and I'll keep putting out the messages. Everyone will get the same communication, whether you're there or not there. Right. And
I guilt mine.
Do you?
Yeah, I get mine. I hope they know.
You're the passive aggressive mandatory.
I get it for workouts. Yeah. Normally, kids that aren't currently active, but even then, if I still guilt football players too. I guilt them all. I don't care. No, but I feel like I have a relationship with them to be able to do that. It's not.
Yeah, there's a difference between jabbing a little bit.
Yeah, I've got one guy sending me pictures every day. He's been going to the gym 5 a.m. before school.
He's sending you proof?
He's sending me proof. I'm like, yeah, good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to ask them, when they say, well, I've been going to the gym somewhere else.
On my own.
Yeah.
Right.
What'd you squat last time you were in the gym?
Well, we didn't do those same things. We curled a little bit and
bench.
Did some bench press and curls.
Hey, I've really fallen in love with dumbbell bench pressing. Dumbbell arm movements and things, upper body dumbbell stuff, because of the things that you can do with the core.
Oh yeah,
to build the core with it. Really
greater range of motion, more stability. It increases stability. Your ability to develop stability. Yeah.
Yeah. So I learned a little bit there. Coach Jason Mullen's been helping us out in the weight room, running the kids through some different stuff that I hadn't been doing over the past few months. So it's been a good time. But yeah, really, I'm liking the dumbbell work. That's good. But so anyway, getting back to playing year round, we had I came across it. I think you saw me interact with this person on Twitter, which I think, without looking, I think her name's Molly Moore. She was a former college softball coach, and she had a tweet there. Do you have that tweet handy?
Former Detroit Tigers grounds crew member.
Grounds crew. Yeah. Keep reading.
NCAA head softball coach and athletic director.
Yeah. So
someone who knows what she's talking about. Right? She's been around a little bit, right? Yeah, been around some athletes.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right. Professional athletes, Division I college athletes. You want me to actually read the tweet?
Yeah, read the tweet. So
okay. So this is recent, August 29th, 12:22 p.m. She said, "Real question. Why do we tell our baseball athletes to play multiple sports and not throw year round, but then we host a gabillion, however many that is.
That's a big one.
A gabillion exposure camps throughout the fall." So she's talking to college coaches here.
Yeah.
Right? Recruitment camps. Throughout the fall, 3 question marks. Is there a football, baseball player who can actually attend September and October camps? And then she has a number of comments underneath here as well.
I'm sure there's a bunch of perspective going on there.
Yeah, and she's at the stage in life now where she has a child who's that age.
Yeah.
I mean, as you and I have read through some of the other tweets there, she's a child who's of that age.
Oh, yes. And we want to get
high
to that.
school age.
Right. Yeah,
And so now her perspective, it may have been the same before. Who knows? It may have changed now that she's in the time period where she has a child who's trying to juggle these things. It certainly probably is more highlighted for her now than it ever was as an NCAA coach.
Sure.
Right?
She's more aware of it.
Yeah.
Now she's having to make decisions that speak to it.
As a parent.
And there's a certain response to it, and I want to speak to that because I have something that I wanted to share with everyone, but the fact that it came up makes it even better. But I want to point out that what Coach Moore is saying here is she's talking about the system,
Yes.
the general system of youth sports, of high school sports, every sport, football, baseball, basketball, the way that we're forcing our kids to pick and to choose, and we're wearing them out, and
she's talking about college. College is doing this.
Yes.
But what she's talking about happens in high school as well.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So one individual responded, said something like, well, this is the reality of the situation. These are high school athletes.
Yeah. One of the responses is actually, it's great for athletes to play multiple sports when they're young. And we've talked about
Which we agree. I agree.
Absolutely.
And I understand where he's coming from there,
Get your
too.
kids in as many sports as they want to play when they're young. Rick Dobnak really hit that point when he was on here with us. He goes on and he says, we all know why that is beneficial, but the bottom line is, come high school age, with how competitive it is to get noticed and especially to get a scholarship offer or any offer to play in college, you need to decide what sport you have a chance in and go with it. Basically go with it while you're in high school. So basically, you do need to specialize when you're in high school.
Yes,
is what he's saying.
That's what he's saying. Right? You have to sacrifice. You have to pick one. You have to pick two. Actually, another reason I've said that the parents not wanting to have kids left out is a reason that youth sports are going downhill or whatever, it's going to be a problem. The scholarship you'll lure was another reason.
Yes.
Everyone's playing for that scholarship. But so this guy's saying you have to choose.
Most kids playing ball in college are not on scholarship, everybody.
Oops.
The majority of kids playing ball in college are not on scholarship.
There's some information that was let out there, isn't it?
Yeah.
But he's basically saying in order to make it, you have to make those sacrifices, and that's true to a degree. Obviously, it is. We've talked about you have to be a different type of person, and be committed to getting better and whatnot. But I came across a tweet the other day. I just thought it was really interesting and really good, and I really appreciated him tweeting it out. I'm going to give you some numbers here real quick, okay? Mm-hmm. Total receiving yards, 195. 13 catches, 1 touchdown. 195 yards, 13 catches, 1 touchdown. What do you think?
Was this a game?
That sounds like a receiver or something, tight end in a game of football.
Yeah.
This was tweeted by Alex Bachman, he played for Wake Forest University.
Okay.
As a tight end, which is a D1 college.
It is.
Division I college. He now plays for the New York Giants. He was signed as an undrafted free agent, I think, by the Jets. Been around, but now he plays for the New York Giants. He actually had a huge game the other day in a preseason game. He had like 200 yards receiving, 10 catches and 2 touchdowns. He had a huge game, so everyone's excited about it.
Yeah.
Well, he posted this tweet: 195 receiving yards, 13 catches, 1 touchdown. You said exactly what I wanted you to say. That's
one of his games.
That's one of his games
from college.
That was his stats throughout his career in high school football. 200 yards receiving, 13 catches, 1 touchdown. He's playing for the New York Giants right now. So this, obviously it's an extreme case. It's an exception to the rule. But to just simply say, you have to make these sacrifices, you have to do this, you have to quit playing sports, to get where you want to be. This guy wasn't nowhere near his potential when he graduated high school.
No.
Wake
Either
Forest.
that or they had a really great running game.
Yeah, right. There you go.
He never threw the ball.
He was a really good blocker, right?
He was a tackle in high school, Pat. That's why he had this.
But what he says is, I'm just posting this
Yeah.
for the kid with a dream who isn't where they want to be right now.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
I think more importantly than understanding that you have to work every day, it's understanding that you are going somewhere. You have a goal, and the habits that you make are going to get you to that goal. But we as coaches, we have to do a better job of making kids understand that, we're not going to hold anything against them personally if they're not showing up at these things that are interfering with other sports, and they are, because there's certain seasons that are for certain sports. It's just the way it shakes out, and I think it's unfair for us to do so.
Yeah,
and I've been trying to I've told multiple people coming in, and people don't agree with me on this, but I wanted to be supportive. One of the things that I want to do as the coach at Meigs High School is I want to support the other programs. I want them to know that I support.
Yeah,
them,
you put social media blasts out for about every sport. There's some sports I didn't even know Meigs had that you're saying congratulations on this win or this archery shoot that you guys had last week.
When we win as a team, then everybody wins. That's what I want it to be. And I think
you develop a winning culture in a whole school community by showing your support in that way. I think it's valuable as well. I live 30 minutes away from where I coach, but I'd make every effort to go to games that are not sports that I coach. Volunteer. Volunteered this year to work at concessions. A little different concessions table down near the field on the other side.
This is for a football game?
Yeah. Well, for all the home games, basically, our coaching staff's doing that. So we're taking care of that.
I hope they're not listening to this, because you guys are doing
your boosters.
Yeah, the athletic booster, because you guys are doing all year, and ours just asked us to do one game.
So. Five home games, maybe 6. I think 6 home games. I think we have 6 home games this year, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good. Hopefully it's a good season for
Sold every slice of pizza last Friday and every Mountain Dew.
Well, there you go. There you go. Ours is pretty active. It's pretty active. We sell brats, tacos.
I know
in the
you're
bag.
selling the Mountain Dew.
Oh, we sell the Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I
that's-
know.
that's
You guys,
good.
you bragged about your concession stand all the time. Deep fried this and that, and deep fried wieners. And
Oh, that's our baseball concession stand. That's the inside.
I'll tell you what's good in the football concession stand at your place is hot chocolate.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, they make it with milk, I think.
I'm not for sure about that.
Maybe not. I don't know. I've heard the hot chocolate's really good.
I just know we the last concession, the game that we did last year for basketball program did a concession. It was a game with Belpre, and I think there was 120 points scored in the game. Like the first half took 2.5 hours.
You
It was a
guys
long
scored
set.
all of those?
No, it was. I think the
You
final.
just played that same team this past Friday, didn't you?
Well, yeah, it's a little different team this year than last
apparently.
year, but their numbers are down.
They're down, yeah.
But yeah, I think the final was like 70 something to 50 something, if I'm remembering right, or maybe 70 something to
Feel free to play some
30.
defense.
Yeah, I can't. Oh, it was just throw it
My
up
goodness.
and catch it. It was crazy. But the clock wasn't running, and the first half it's horrible. And I was like, man, I could telling Coach Hill, couldn't we have picked a different game than this? I mean, it's been here all night. We want the quick.
Made
games.
some good money though.
But yeah, so but yeah, I think it's important, that for a school district, for the coaches to not just get along, but to support each other and understand that it's all about the student body and
Yeah, to really truly desire that, right? To really
Absolutely.
truly, and I think that's where it gets difficult, is because I really have to. I can't just say that I want what's best for the student athlete. Mm-hmm. I really have to want that. I really have to want that, because and it's hard because there's a tug of war between wanting that, but also wanting my program to be really successful and wanting to win baseball games and wanting to have a really successful baseball program. And if I have students coming to my strength training that might say to me, Coach, I don't think I'm going to play baseball this year, but do you care if I keep coming to strength training?
well, you're spending resources on something outside of your
I'm
program.
spending resources right there, something outside of my program, but I need to want to do that. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's one of the reasons why I know you do the same thing. Mm-hmm. I know you offer your strength training to athletes that aren't playing your sport as well. And I want to be able to say, it's all right. You're an Eagle. You're an Eagle. You need to be strong for whatever sport it is you're playing. And
for anything.
In life, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's why I think earlier I mentioned mentality being such a huge factor in the success of an athlete. The gym brings such confidence,
Yes, it does. They'll be better
anticipation.
Students. They'll be better people. Yeah.
It really does. I know that we do have like a at Meigs High School we have a period now. Like the 9th period is maybe throughout the school, everybody. But they have a strength trainer there that's what they pay them to do is have a class and
that's good.
and gym work and things like that. And I think that's great. It's something that I really, and I'm way behind. Like I'm trying to absorb as much information as I can to learn and to get better. But it's something that I'm really enjoying and falling in love with.
I'll tell you one way you could take advantage of that. Athens has this as well, and they've actually evolved that. They've evolved that philosophy a little bit, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But they've always had one of the physical education teachers. He spent all of his time in the weight room. He did strength training, and so all the kids took that class. They came through there and took his class. And so he told me, this was back when I was training the girls softball program at Athens. He said, hey, Coach, I got a bunch of your softball players in my class. He said, they're in there for an hour. And he said, if there's anything that you want them to do there on these days, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whatever, he said, pass it on to me. He said, like, if you want to give them the option to do their workout in class that they would be doing with you at 6:30 at night, he said, let me know. And I'm like, absolutely. And so I sent them everything, basically whatever we were going to do that week. I sent it to Coach Roberts and said, here, this is for the softball girls. And some of them took advantage of it. Some of them did it and then came to ours also. And I'm like, well, we're going to have you do something different tonight then. You're going to do some ability work or something different, But yeah, that's a really nice resource to have. I think now they've adjusted, they've switched to where they actually have a class, whatever sport is in season. I think they actually have a period where those kids can go and train, the football coach can actually say, they basically have allowed the coaches to say, your ninth period is going to be your.
So Athens High School does that
training period. Yeah, and I think they actually basically they're getting a head start on practice by sending those kids to the weight room for ninth period.
Yeah,
and it's I don't know if it might be a phys ed credit. I don't know how they're doing it, but I seem to remember April telling me something about that. How they
interesting. I think West Virginia does that across the board. I believe I remember
a lot of high schools, a lot of big high schools do that. They have a sports class, whatever class that is.
Yeah,
and they typically use it for.
I love that idea.
I do too. I do too.
Definitely.
Yeah, bring
that into play. But yeah. We have to support each other, and I think the big part of that is making sure that our athletes know that, we want you to play other sports. We don't want to hinder your ability to do that. We don't want to take you away from that. We want you to be committed to them just as much as you're committed to us during the season. So it's something we have to be intentional about, and we have to we just have to do. Like you said, it's hard because that you kind of have that natural tendency to be,
it's a tug of war. Yeah, you're torn in half, really. Yeah,
but like you said, it's for their own good, for the student.
Yeah,
and we gotta
definitely
prioritize that.
I think one of the things that I would like to say, just because one of the things we probably should always, as we get around to having talk for 40 minutes now, to starting to wrap things up, is I think we always are sort of at this point asking ourselves, okay, what advice, how do we do it? What advice can we give? Like if we're talking to coaches, right? What advice might you and I have? There's something that we have tried to do that is helpful or beneficial, to help really, maybe, I don't know if in this particular conversation, are we talking about alleviating that pressure feel on these kids, or actually truly getting better at it ourselves, getting better at maybe it's a communication thing.
I think that's
getting better at that,
sure.
And I think one of the things that I would say to that, and one of the ways that I might answer that is to say, I really think we need to make it a priority as coaches to coordinate and collaborate, coordinate our events with the other coaches in our school that are pulling from these same athletes. Collaborate as much as possible. The reality is strength training has evolved to become making the athlete stronger and more athletic, and that's going to help for really any sport they play.
Yeah.
There are things that we do that are explosive medicine ball movements that have a rotational feel to them that maybe they wouldn't do as much in football or basketball,
Still, that works your core.
Exactly.
Those
yeah.
movements work your core.
So I could sacrifice some of those things, right? I mean, that's what I mean by collaborating. We picked up a bunch of new equipment for our weight room at Eastern that was donated to us, and I helped load it. And one of the things I asked our superintendent, I said, where are we going to put all this stuff? And we were talking about the space. I said, so you have basically the plans to make a new facility, apparently, right? He just laughed at it. And I said, I think when you have the kind of space that we have, where it's our weight room, but it's also open to the community, right? And there's a lot, because he said, what would you do? I said, well, I would take out half those treadmills that are in there right now. He goes, can't do that. Gotta leave this in there. And I said, I get that. I understand. But I said, we just have to realize the reality of the fact that we don't have a ton of open space, right? We would love to be able to have a lot of mobility type work, but we also want to get them stronger. And so we want these racks in here. And so I think we have to, at some point, look at our resources and make sacrifices and say what's most important to us.
Sure.
What are we going to prioritize here?
Extensive
do I want to
planning
get
is
more
what you're
kids on
talking
the
about,
rack,
yeah.
or do I want to get more kids, out in the middle doing, medicine ball stuff and things like that? And because at some point we can't do everything we want to do.
Right.
And I guess I'm making this point to say, there are things that I think basketball coaches, volleyball coaches, football coaches, wrestling coaches, baseball coaches, softball coaches, golf coaches, cross-country coaches, they all would like their kids to be more athletic, more explosive, and there are things that we can do to help that. And I think if we can say, look, let's make the core of our workouts these things,
Yeah.
and then when you're in the off season, do these things, get on the Vertimax a little bit more than what maybe the baseball players would do. Baseball players are going to do a little, when baseball's in off season, we're going to do a little more medicine ball rotational work than what you might do in your football workouts. But if those kids all want to come to these workouts, that's great. That's going to be beneficial for them.
Sure.
It's not going to hurt them.
No.
It's certainly not going to hurt them.
It's not going to hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the same note, all those sports you're talking about, all those coaches, they have specific things that are a priority for their kids to do during the off season. I'm talking skill work,
Yeah.
IQ level stuff, things like that they want to teach. They want the players to know, the players to work on. Prioritize those things. If you have a list of those things, prioritize those things so that you can ask your kids, ask your athletes to take less time away from those other sports.
Yeah.
Right? Make it easier on them to get better in the off season, and make it easier at the same time so that they can still play those other sports without it being a burden, without it being a chore. Because again, kids aren't going to play the sport if it's not fun.
Right.
They're just not. It's just I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean?
What I say? How do we begin this talk today? I had moms telling me, thinking about got one thinking about not even playing anymore.
Yep. So we need to do a better job as coaches to prioritize that, to think about that. What can we do?
Yeah, and the reason I should say this, the reason was because they get on social media and they see all these wonderful vacation pics that all their friends are taking.
Yeah, well, yeah,
And they're like,
that's true.
I'd like to do that, right? I'd like to be able to do that. Let me ask you, coaches, this: is there anything wrong with a kid taking a week and going to the beach and not working out a single day when they're there?
What about during the season?
Is there anything wrong with that? Right? Nobody's in season in summertime. See, that's the thing. See, this is where the problem is. The problem is June and July. In high school sports, the problem is June and July.
Yeah, you're right.
That's it.
Primarily, it is.
Yeah. And when do most people take vacations? One of those 2 months. Let them go.
Yeah.
Let them go. They don't have to go to every shootout. They don't have to come to all of my open fields. They don't have to go to all of your, workouts that you're doing on your football field. They're still going to play.
I say
They're
in
still gonna
season
play.
because when I was a very young coach, I didn't think kids should go on vacation during summer ball.
Oh, yes. You're thinking as a summer coach, right?
Yeah.
So now we got to talk about travel ball coaches,
Yeah,
club ball coaches, AAU ball coaches,
yeah,
right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I didn't think they should, but my
So what we're talking about is for every coach, right?
My perspective's changed on that, though.
Yeah.
We should talk about that someday. I've got a story. I've got a few stories to tell on that. But yeah, no, you're right. I agree with you. And again, if we're talking about areas, if we're talking about school districts with low participation, with low numbers, I don't think you can. I think we have to do this. We have to work with each other. We have to support each other's programs and think about, what am I doing that is negatively impacting, the other program? What am I doing that is positively impacting the other program? And kind of gear our efforts away from those negative things.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I had a kid come to me in the summertime and say, "Hey, coach, I'm going to be at all the fall workouts because I'm not playing such and such sport this fall because I want to get stronger for baseball." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Don't do that." I said, "Don't do that." I said, if you want to work out on your own time and you need somebody to help you with a workout, I'll gladly send you some workouts to do. But I said, you if you want to run cross country, run cross country.
Absolutely.
It's something that you've done all your your life. And there are other. He never enjoyed it. he didn't enjoy it, and it's something he tried.
No, I'm with you. If he doesn't want to play the game.
But I guess the point there was I didn't go, okay, cool.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
You're going to be at all of our workouts. I actually tried to talk him out of that.
Sure.
I wanted to talk him into being a 3-sport athlete because he does play basketball and baseball. And I'm like, no, you're not going to lose out on anything. I mean, you can get stronger. I mean, he's because he was like, well, I need to gain weight too, and my cross country coach won't want me to gain weight and all that. And I'm like, you know what though? I remember doing that. Like when I stopped playing football, I had Coach Oliphant came to me, saw me at a football game. He was like, "What are you doing up here?" I said, I'm just taking the fall to get work out and get ready for baseball. He goes, "You running?" I said, "Yeah, I'm doing a little running." He goes, "Well, why don't you come out to cross country then? We do a lot of running."
Coach Oliphant. That's my guy.
And he's very persuasive, man.
Yeah.
Coach O was one of the best, absolutely one of the best at Meigs High School, and he persuaded me to come out, and I did. And he was a little upset at me my senior year because I gained more weight. I went from like 135 to 165, and it slowed me down. But that was my goal, and he knew though. Yeah. He knew you're doing this because it's beneficial to you. You just take to be in shape and to be competing. You talk about mental toughness. There's a sport that requires a lot of mental toughness.
No doubt.
And that's actually what I talked to this young man about. I said, look, man, I know what that feels like to stand on that starting line, and every ounce of muscle and nerves in your body says, I don't want to do this. And you're about to make yourself do something you don't want to do. That's good for you. And you're pushing yourself. Your body is saying, quit, quit, quit. And I said, I played both sports. You don't have that same pain in the football field. It's different. You get an instant pain, a collision type pain. And it's like, ooh, yeah. But then you got some time to breathe and get up and get ready for the next play. There is no time for that in cross. Once the pain hits,
you're going through it.
You've got to tell yourself, work through it, go through it. Yeah. So anyway, basically I think that's the point. It's truly support the other sports.
Yeah.
Truly push your kids toward those other sports. Obviously, they're not all going to want to play them, right? But I don't think they should ever stop play them because they feel like they can't.
Yep.
And still be successful.
Absolutely. So there it is. One less problem in the world. Coaching Life Podcast is solved.
There you go. There's the goal, to solve problems. Yeah. As always, thanks for listening to us. I have had a number of people in the past 2 weeks come up to me and say, I've started listening to your podcast because so-and-so told me about it.
Sweet.
Can you believe that?
It's awesome.
Yeah. And I said, oh, cool, did you listen? And what's funny is, I'm like, oh, so did you listen to last week's? And they're like, oh, no, I started at the beginning.
Yeah, that's why.
Like, ooh, man, you got 124 episodes to go. And I said, well, it gets better. Like, I think there are times it ebbs and flows, right?
Sure.
We've changed, we've evolved a little bit. We've talked about a lot of different things, but they really, they gave me some specific ones that they've really enjoyed. They've really taken a lot from. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because, I have podcasts that I have specific episodes that I like.
Yeah, me too. And they don't usually say the same ones, right?
Yeah.
There was one of our bonus episodes, which is weird because back before you and I started really counting, really truly thinking about how many we've recorded, we would throw in a bonus. Like we would record an extra one during the week and we'd call it a bonus. And one of the bonus ones, which it doesn't have a number in front of it, just says bonus episode. It was building a culture of mistake avoidance.
Oh yes.
It was about, and we sat and talked about that for a little bit, about how much he appreciated that, because he's coaching younger kids. He's coaching an 8U coach pitch team, and they went from spring. It was his first year. His kids have played really competitively in that age developmental age, and he's like, my kid loves it and I love it and this buddy of mine loves it and he's like, we really are enjoying it and coaching together and so we signed them up for All-Stars and we did some tournaments and they loved that so much, and now we're doing fall ball and love it. And so it's like I remember that like all you want to do now is just get more. Yeah. And I think that we've had some episodes there early on that really spoke to to them, in terms of the developmental pieces. And
That's awesome.
yeah.
stuff.
So keep passing on the coaching life to people that you think would be beneficial.
Yeah, even if you want to make fun of us, even if you're, you think we just talk to hear
guys,
ourselves.
listen, I got a bone to pick with some of you all that listen out there. Pat came in here today and he's like, I got to change my laugh.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, people are making fun of my laugh, like the way I laugh.
There it is, right there. That's what
Is
they're
that
making
it?
fun of. It's the wheezing.
Oh, they're like,
Yeah, there it is.
yeah. So some of that wheezing comes from something that was said that no one ever hears on the podcast, on the actual edited
true.
version of the podcast. and we have the ability to like splice in your laugh, even though you didn't necessarily hear. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Wait. Yeah.
Get about the curveball, Ricky. Give him a heater.
I updated some of our hot buttons here.
There's the hand.
Our audience should know who both of those are.
I wonder if they do. We should put a poll out.
We should do a sound drop a week and say what was this week's sound drop.
That's a good idea. We should do that.
What was this week's sound drop? Yeah.
All
Who
from,
were those
all from
two?
sports movies?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah. They're endless.
I like it. We should do that.
Yeah.
We should definitely do that. I like it. Maybe next week.
But we just gave them two. Let's start right now.
Okay.
Because you said the answer to one of them, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You
So
said
let's-
Hambino. But who is the great Hambino?
Yeah. There you go. I guess I can find that out. The first one was a good one though.
Oh yeah. You ever say that when you're sitting in the dugout? Forget about the curveball, Big E. give him the heater. Yeah.
I don't know that I've said that, but I have used that phrase before.
You know, he
I've
used to
also
say that
used-
to me all the time. Chris Hewitt. He'd nudge me. He's like, "It's a good time for it." Like Santa would be out there. Forget about the curveball, Santa. Give him the heater.
I like the nice catch. Nice catch, Hayes.
You got a bunch of kids making
We do
basket
that.
catches.
Yeah. Or just catching the ball with one hand.
What episode was that?
I don't know. We talked
The
about
two
it.
hand. It was the myths. Myths.
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.